So check this out, I have the brand new iPad Pro and I'm using this as a wireless monitor for my camera. And I'm gonna show you guys how you can easily do this with virtually any camera that is out there, as long as it has an HDMI or an SDI output. Now, before I begin, I do want to tell you guys about today's video sponsor, which is Dbrand. They make these really great looking skins like the one you see here on this new iPad Pro. This one's called Matrix. It's actually one of my favorites. I have it on my iPhone XS Max also. What this allows me to do is protect my tablet, protect my phone. They also make them for computers, Android phones. Check them out. I will leave a link down below. They have a lot of different styles, so that way you guys can personalize and make them your own. Again, that link will be down below. Check out dbrand.com. So how am I doing this? This is actually very cool. This is Teradek Serv Pro. And a while ago, I saw a tweet by Jonathan Morrison that said, wouldn't it be cool to have the software technology of the Small HD combined with Teradek's wireless solution that would integrate with the iPad Pro. So I recommended the Serv Pro. I wasn't sure if he already knew about it or not, but this is actually something that has been around for a while. I don't personally use it. I actually reached out to Teradek and I asked them if they would actually let me borrow one, and they were actually kind enough to send one out for this review. So really cool people. Thank you Teradek for sending this out and allowing me to make this video for you guys, so that way you guys can know more about their product. This is not sponsored by any way. They just sent this out to me. In fact, I have to actually return it, but it's actually cool because it allows me to show you guys what's out there in case you didn't know. So this is the Serv Pro, and this allows you to put this onto your camera and transmit a video signal, so that way you can receive it on your tablet and or on your smartphone. And I'm gonna show you guys how this works. So for example, if I'm using the Canon EOS R, what I would do is this has a 1/4 inch mount down below right here, and I can mount this on top of my camera. And then what I do is I can run an HDMI cable, because this does not have SDI. So what I'll do is I'll run an HDMI cable from the camera to the Serv Pro, or in my case, I'm using the Canon C200. I am using an SDI cable because this is going to be much more reliable, faster, and a better connectivity. This also has an Ethernet port, which I'll talk more about that in a second, and then a power adapter. So you can power this if you have a V-mount battery, because this is a LEMO, and you can use a D-tap. So if you have a V-mount or anything that accepts a D-tap, or this will actually have its own AC adapter, which is actually what I'm using right now. So this is a pretty interesting unit because you can connect it to your home's Wi-Fi network, or if you have an office or a studio, or it actually acts as its own Wi-Fi hotspot. So for example, if you're out in the middle of the desert, or if you're in a place where there is no internet, this will actually create its own Wi-Fi hotspot, and then that way all of the tablets, all of the phones will actually connect to this. So I'll show you quickly the user interface. So for example, right here, it tells me that there's 0 devices connected. So you can connect up to 10 different tablets or 10 different smartphones, or a combination of tablets and smartphones. And then right here, this is the network setup. So if I go to network setup, I can set this up 3 different ways. I can connect this wired. This is why that Ethernet port, and I told you guys I would talk about this. So you can connect an Ethernet connection. So this is directly wired. Not the most convenient, but if you are in a studio environment, this could be an option. Or here in my studio, I can do it because my router is literally, and I have ports everywhere. You can connect this via Wi-Fi, so it has infrastructure, meaning you're connecting to the current infrastructure, in my case, my studio, and it shows right here that it is connected to Mondobytes, which is my home's Wi-Fi network. Or if I go ahead and push on infrastructure and I push on access point, this will create its own Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, I've tested it out and it actually works really great. They claim that it will reach up to 500 feet. Understand that 500 feet meaning it will go through walls, so that's gonna diminish and go through people. So I've actually tested it out here in my home and I've had no issues at all. I've probably tested about 100 feet. So I can tell you for sure within 100 feet, it works really well. I have not tested it 500 feet or even over 100, so I couldn't really tell you if it works that good. But normally I would use infrastructure because I am here in a studio environment, so this works the best. So that's basically it. Once you set which kind of method you want to transmit the video signal, you're basically done. Now all you need to do is grab your tablet, which we're going to do right now. So what you'll need to do first is actually download this app called Viewer. It's actually from Teradek, which I've already downloaded. And the way you connect to this is you actually have to push here where it says camera. And you'll see that it'll automatically show up Serv Pro. So you push on that and it'll automatically load it to camera A. Now you can actually use 4 of these different devices and have up to 4 different video signals at the same time, which is actually very neat. So I'm gonna go ahead and push on done. Now it's just showing me camera A because I'm only using this with one connection. So you'll notice here on the Serv Pro, it's actually saying that there's 1 out of 10 connected. So again, you can connect up to 10 different devices. So now I can only connect 9 more devices. So this is going to be good for a small studio environment. So you'll notice the lag is actually very minimal, and we'll talk more about that in a second. So right now, this is camera A. I don't have a camera B. If I had different video signals, I would be able to see all of the different camera angles within here. So right now, I'm not able to choose that because I don't have more video signals. So this is actually a very powerful tool. So I'm gonna go ahead and just hide this, and you'll notice there's a lot of information. This information that you see here is actually coming directly from my camera. So for example, you'll see that it's recording f1.8 ISO 400. This is something that's coming directly from my camera. It doesn't mean that your camera will do that. So keep that in mind. I want to put that out there. This information is being transmitted from my camera, and each camera will vary. I can actually have all of this information gone if I wanted to, but this information is useful for me. That's why I leave it on, because I want to be able to see everything here. So I'm going to go ahead and push here, and I'll show you guys all of the different things that you can do here. So for example, if I go to tools, there's different types of things that I can do. For example, I can see my histogram. So I'm gonna just go ahead and hide that. Now my camera already does this, so this may not be important to me, but it may be important to you because your camera may not have a histogram. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. I can actually load a waveform monitor. My camera does that already, but again, your camera may or may not do that, and this is actually useful to have. I can see my vector scopes. This is actually very useful. So typically vector scopes you'll see on higher end recording monitors, or even something like the 501 monitor or something like Blackmagic. Different types of monitors have these type of features, so it's nice to have. And then you have false color, which is one of my favorites, so that way I can see how my exposure is. This is something that I love. C200 does not have this, so this is actually very useful. I can see peaking. So right now I can turn this on and off, and everything is just a push of a button. So I can turn this off. I can see focus assist, so see if something's in focus or not. I can actually also add a LUT. So for example, a lot of times when people are watching something being filmed, they want to apply LUT because producers are there, hair and makeup. They don't want to see a flat image. They want to see what more or less the final image is going to look like. So what you do is you hold LUT down and you can apply a series of different LUTs. For example, I'm going to go ahead and just select Fuji 3510, and you can see I can cycle this on and off, and then you can see what that looks like. So this is pretty interesting. Now if I go ahead and push on tools, it'll load up more stuff that I can do. For example, I can see frame lines. So frame lines is very useful because I film in a 2:1 aspect ratio. So you can actually see the frame lines, the crop marks. So for example, if you're doing a 133 aspect ratio, all you have to do is push on 133, and then you'll see here, let me just go down, you'll see the lines that it's going to crop. I don't need to use it. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and just show you guys these red lines because that is coming directly from the C200. So a lot of these pro tools, this is the difference between using a cinema camera and something like this. You won't have a lot of these pro tools available. But again, this is very useful in case you don't have. You also have frame grab. So I'll show you guys really quick. I'm just gonna put my hand up here and then I'm gonna push on frame grab. And what it's going to do, it's gonna take a picture and then I'm able to compare it. So for example, if I go to frame compare, if I'm doing some composition or something like that, and I want to match it, I don't know if you guys can see that. I can line it up, okay, right there, perfect, and then action, right? So that's really cool. That's very useful in my opinion. Distort is something that I like because you can use anamorphic lenses, and then if you hold this down, you can actually select the squeeze amount. So for example, right now it's at 2x squeeze. So if you're using an anamorphic lens that has a 2x squeeze, you just push on that and it'll automatically stretch it out for you. In this case, I'm not using an anamorphic lens, so we don't need to change that. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. Magnify, obviously what it sounds like, it magnifies the image. So it's actually magnified right there. I can see if something's in focus or not. Video will just tell me the information of the video signal. Nothing special, just 1920 by 1080, the bit rate. And then audio is just for audio, which we're not gonna really go too much. Overlay is just gonna overlay the information that's there. So for example, this is camera A. I don't know if you can see that there. And if I turn that off, it will not overlay that information. And then lastly, the meta information. So I can display, for example, time code, as you see right here. I can display a lot of other stuff. Once again, this information is not really relevant to me because I have it already right here. Now you can see the time code coming from the C200. So now what I love about this is that I can use something like the iPad Pro as my monitor. If I was to buy a monitor that was this size and had all of these features and functionalities built into it, I would spend over $2,000 easily. And on top of that, the fact that I can actually transmit up to 10 video signals. For example, if I wanted to use my iPhone in conjunction with this iPad, let's say, for example, I had somebody else here, I can just load up this app, put it right here, and then automatically go to camera, select my frame, they're done. And then now I have 2 or 3 other people. Let's say I have a couple of guests that are here and watching me film, and I want them to check something out. There it is right here, and I'll show you guys the very little lag that it has. So try to keep up. It's very minimal. Now, the people using something like this are people that do not require mission critical stuff. For example, somebody pulling focus. This has a little bit too much of a delay for somebody pulling focus. People who are going to use this are, for example, if you're on set, hair and makeup, for example, producers that want to see what's going on, people that are in the video village. Or for example, if you are pulling focus, you're going to require something that has much less lag. Last month, I did a video with my buddy, Mr. Potato Jet, and we built out my cinema rig, and I've been using a Teradek product called the Bolt 500. This is actually something that you would use if you're going to be pulling focus because there's virtually no lag between the video signal and the monitor. So this is something that requires more mission critical, and it's also going to be a lot more expensive. Something like this will run you $3,000 and up depending on the range, whereas something like this, you're going to be paying about $1,500, and obviously the price, if you already have a phone or if you already have an iPad, then you don't have to pay for that. So it's just $1,500 for the unit. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and hopefully it was informative to you and just another way to add or get the video signal from your camera as opposed to using the apps that these manufacturers put, because you and I know these apps usually are not that great. Like the Sony app's not that good. The Canon app it's okay, but it's not that great. This is much better. And I think it's more useful, especially if you're using more on a smaller production. So thanks for watching, and you guys will catch me in the next one. Adios.